All right, it is 2 o'clock and this meeting is called to order. All of our trustees are here. That's all. So next we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
All right, now we will start off with the public comments. Speakers, state your name and community and speak for no more than 3 minutes. Persons addressing the board are expected to observe a level of civility and decorum appropriate for a public meeting. No personal attacks or disruptions from the audience members will be tolerated. So first up, we have Michelle Lippert.
Good afternoon, Chair Otteson, Interim Director
Microphone.
Miller, Escarpolar. Did I say that correctly?
Use the microphone.
Pardon me?
Want to use a microphone?
It's on.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And trustees. I'm Michelle Lippert, Post Falls. On July 6th, I emailed the board with an official complaint about open meeting law violations that occurred at the July 3rd meeting. I never heard back, so I'll be sending my complaints to the Attorney General. Today, I'd like to draw your attention to one aspect of that complaint. 74-2063 states, and I quote, "No executive session may be held for the purpose of taking or making any final decision." No vote in public session was ever held to hire Martin Walters as director. According to Idaho code, there must be a vote in public. Therefore, Mr. Walters has not been hired as director. You have illegally hired a director and placed a burden on the taxpayer for his salary with no accountability and no transparency. Adherence to Idaho code is a requirement of trustee service. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next we have Suzanne Kearney.
I have always loved the library. As a child, my mom would take me to our local branch, where I was introduced to authors like Frances Hodgson Burnett, Mark Twain, Laura Ingalls Wilder, and E.B. White. Once I got to meet Beverly Cleary in person, and I still treasure my autographed copy of Henry Huggins to this day. But even when I was growing up, there were questionable books available to kids. I remember as a tween, a book called Seduction. I didn't know what the word meant, but it was on display in my section, so I thought it might be fun. After reading how the main character stepped her bikini top to attract an older man, I felt dirty and ashamed. I hid the book from my mom until I could return it to the library unnoticed. I couldn't articulate it then, but now I know that the disgust I felt was a God-given reflex to protect me from ideas I wasn't ready for. When children are repeatedly exposed to sexually explicit material, they become desensitized and more susceptible to grooming. There's been much division over the issue of sexually explicit materials for children, but I can assure you that all of us who take the time to attend these meetings have two things in common. We love our libraries and we care about kids. With the addition of Karen Campbell to the trustee board, my hope and prayer is that we can seek peace and unity. One way to move forward is to make quality children's materials a focused priority. In pursuit of this, I've contacted the interim director about CLN hosting a Brave Books Story Hour. Brave Books publishes materials that teach kids character traits we should all agree on: courage, integrity, perseverance, kindness, self-control, and American values. On August 24th, Brave Books is hoping to set a Guinness record for most attendees at a story hour nationwide through their See You at the Library Day. Last year, over 10,000 people across 46 states attended. And this year we have an opportunity to make it even bigger. While I truly appreciate the directors allowing a space outside, I would like her to reconsider her decision against making See You at the Library an official event. Reversing her decision would open up access to a reasonably sized indoor venue free from the risks of weather and difficulty of sound projection. I would be willing to undergo a background check if needed, finance the event, and take care of logistics. This would be a great opportunity for us to come together for our kids and instill in them the values that our community needs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our public comments, and now we will move on to our consent agenda. Trying to, not everyone, but yeah, have a chance to look at the CIN meeting minutes that were in the packet. There any corrections or questions on anything in the consent agenda?
No, no.
Oh, thank you.
I move that we accept the consent agenda. Let's give a date. Give you an agenda. As listed on the July 18th, 2024.
Number 5.
Okay, it has been moved to accept the consent agenda as listed on the July 18th, 2024 agenda. So all those in favor, or actually, is there any further discussion? Okay, well then, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, it is unanimous, and the consent agenda as listed on the July 18th, 2024 agenda is accepted. Okay, we're moving on to the Community Library Network June 2024 financial statements. Class.
I've got several questions, but one is, line 44, repairs and maintenance for Apple. 62,576. Is that what we paid for the construction or restoration work? I thought iCrimp was paying it, but did we pay it yet? And where did the money come from?
Business center.
That's a negative amount. And we received a full claim for the pack up and pack out of Apple, and they have only drawn 1/3 of that. So that 62,000 is a negative, not. It shows we have more money than we've spent. We haven't spent it. So when we got the check from iCrimp, it went against Apple's R&M line because that's where the expense is gonna come out, so it's negative.
So,
Address class.
so what was it for? If it was the moving stuff, I thought that went to maintenance. I thought the maintenance was the construction work or something. Is there anything else besides this? I guess is another part of it.
There's other expenditures that have come through Apple, but the negative amount reflects receiving almost $93,000 from iCrimp to pay to Compass to pack up and move out, which is a repair and maintenance item. It's not a capital expenditure.
Trustee Henry?
Yeah, I looked over the revenues and expenses, and, it was good. Well, I wasn't sure on the revenue on line items numbers 7, 8, and 9. And I may have asked this question last month. Should the year-to-date budget amount show it exceeding? I mean, we expected to get zero. It wasn't budgeted for. And then we got additional tax relief, and URD closure. So wouldn't that give us a great overage over what we expected for the right-hand column? Instead of zero.
Having money in the year to date and budget in the zero arena does show that it's over, but those are replacement dollars. And the property tax money will come in under by the amount of those replacement dollars, except for the URD.
Trustee Hunter?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm following. I mean, 7, 8, and 9, we did not expect any revenue at all, and that was, I'll call it a windfall. Money came in. And so, is that not correct?
That is not correct.
Oh.
The county had changed, the state had changed it to where we put in the full amount of what we wanted to levy. And then the state decides how much the state is going to cover of that levy. That is what replacement dollars are. And so what we get back in line 1 will be less the replacement dollars, except for the URD. The URD is not replacement dollars. What we will get from the URD is back taxes from properties that were in a URD that has closed and they're still collecting.
Okay, so if it's not perfectly clear, we got a break on our property taxes last year and the state made up for it. So it was expected, it's just a different source.
And one question.
Trustee Hunter?
Oh, unless someone else.
Does anyone else have a question?
What does URD stand for?
The urban renewal district.
The tax thing,
Trustee Hunter?
Yeah, I'm going down to line item number 44. That was for repair and maintenance. I'm sorry, line item 43, I'm sorry, outreach vehicles, repair and maintenance. I thought that things on, I'm not sure. Okay. Anyway, I thought we weren't going to repair the vehicles. Then we put them into use because of the facilities damage. And yet we only spent $17,000, which is commendable if they got them both operational again, far less than what we thought. So I'm not sure what exactly, it's not a bad thing, but I'm not sure I follow that.
Interim director?
Line 43 is underspent because our disorder bus has been out of service basically this year, so no money has been spent on that. We did get the bookmobile, we did do some work on it to get it started. Library at Apple, but we have not used those vehicles as we normally would have throughout the year, so that costs less.
Trustee Pons?
On, line item 34 telecom, there's a asterisk, or is that just some with my printer over on the right of the 66,000?
It's your turn. Sorry, what line again? Yeah, I don't have one.
Oh, I got it. Okay. 34. On both of those, I guess we can talk about it when we got to the budget, but has there been any progress on looking into setting up VPN for internet instead of looking at it, talking to a vendor that would do that?
Business manager?
So back in November, when we started the E-rate process, it also did the automatic renewal with Batbeam that provides all of our internet and telecom. And I would like to let the board know that we have received our next E-rate discount for this next year that has been awarded.
Oh.
So
Interim director?
I just want to say a couple things in general. On line 47 at Pinehurst, it is underspent, but that's because we are still hoping to reseal and restripe the parking lot, and we hope to get that done by the end of August. And then on line 70A, I would like to point out that legal is very much overspent, and we still have 3 months of invoices that will be coming into that line item.
Trustee Haley?
I think the last note I had comment on was, I was happy to see that the total programs, materials and services are well under budget. The total of those is only 40.5%, which we should be up to, spending as much as 75%. But the two I was a little surprised they weren't a little lower was the utilities for Athol and Post Falls. Given that the facilities were closed since middle of January, they're not that much below budget, so I thought that we wouldn't have as much lighting and HVAC systems running, so they're both at 67% spent. I would have thought it'd be a lot lower, so I know there may be construction started now, but that's just a general comment, not a question. I just thought they'd be a little lower given they were closed.
Interim director?
We have IT equipment at both locations, and we have to keep our air conditioning on to prevent those systems from overheating. And so you're not going to see that much cost savings. The lights aren't on as much, but they're still on because we have workers in the building doing work.
Okay, Trustee Claus?
So back on 33, I know you said we got E-rate. But I didn't get an answer to the question about checking in with a supplier that would do a lot lower costs instead of having fiber running to every library, use public internet with VPN. I'd like to see us lower that cost.
Business manager?
We had already auto renewed our contract when we began the E-rate process last November. So at this time, we're not looking to go VPN. If you want to go out to bid again, it is a full published bid due to the cost. And you'd have to do that and let Fatby know you're not gonna auto renew for one last term and do a full more public notification for bids.
Trustee Robinson?
What month do they auto renew? That being
Because it coincides with E-rate, we notify them when we start our E-rate process in November that we will auto renew with the contract that goes from July 1 to June 30.
Okay, so we are over time for this section, although we have a little extra time, but there are no further questions. I would entertain a motion to accept the Community Library Network June 2024 financial statements.
So moved.
It has been moved to accept the Community Library Network June 2024 financial statements. There's no further discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it is unanimous, and the Community Library Network June 2024 financial statements are accepted. We are now moving on to the discussion of Community Library Network June 2024 carry forward balance analysis. Trustee Hanley?
Yeah, from my recollection at an earlier meeting, it may have been the last meeting, we thought Trustee Plass was going to meet with the business director to get a better understanding of the carry forward documents.
Trustee Claus?
Yeah, my concern was the sheet a month ago showed we had an excess of 800, or it looked like it would be an estimated excess of $816,000. We did meet, and basically what I got was the last 10 years or 5 years of history of how the budget has gone at the end and what we've done with the extra money. So I still don't really have an explanation of how we got over, at least from that. But what I'm really confused about now is how we can, one month have, it's actually the bottom line there, last month, 813,000 excess. And this month, it looks like we're gonna be in the hole, 846,000. How can we possibly be vacillating over 800,000 from month to month, or plus or minus 800,000? And I looked at the numbers on this new carry forward sheet, and I think the basic difference is the estimate is based on last month, it was based on where we were at that month. This is now is based on where it looks like will be September 30th, which is the end of our fiscal year. But I guess I'd like a detailed explanation a little bit more, but I think going through the list, the estimated revenues, which come in on July 25th, 109 or 1,977,000. I think that's too small. I don't know where that number came from. I called Alicia and the auditor's office this morning. She said she won't have the number until Monday. It's officially published or published and probably distributed to us on the 25th, next Friday. So I don't think we have a good number for that to base it on. I think it's too small. I'm totally confused about the ICRIMP claims of 654,000 that for Athol and Post Falls. I thought ICRIMP was paying the vendors directly, but why do we have to come up with 655,000? Why isn't the total amount higher if that's already been paid in? And then now we got severance pay, which seems high, but maybe I don't understand it all. Estimated expenditures for 3 months. Our burn rate is like 475,000. You could round it up to 500,000 for 3 months. July, August, September would be 1.5 million, but we got 2.165 million. I'd like to see that itemized. I can't accept this without getting it itemized, because somehow or another we won't have enough money to make it to come September. We won't have enough money to even make it to January, or we'll come out right even, dead even or something. So maybe there could be some explanation of that. I want to put the brakes on this myself.
Interim Director?
Can I ask what you're meaning by putting the brakes on this? I don't understand what that means.
I will not accept this document, and it's separate. It should be part of the financial statement that we just accepted. I don't think the financial statement is in question in particular, because that's actual right now, but I do not accept this document that we're reviewing, the carry forward sheet, because how can we have professionals on staff that vacillate 1 month to the next of plus 813,000 to minus 846,000? How can we plan anything? We don't even have, this means we don't have enough money. We better get 3%. For last month, I thought we've taken too much money. What is going on? And I think everyone should be alarmed about this.
Mr. Robinson?
I see that her hand is raised. Could we actually hear from the business manager?
Okay, business manager?
For the line regarding the ICRIMP claim funds for Apple and Post Falls, there were contracts signed. ICRIMP paid us directly. When Compass wants a draw, they get it from us. So of the liquid funds available by September 30, the 5,119,000. When ICRIMP gave us the money for the claims, I put it in the ICS account. So we have the money. to pay them, but we have to hold it out. We cannot spend it on anything else. So that's why that amount is there. As far as the severance, based on the package that you provided, that is what is left to pay out this year. As far as the estimated expenditures, it's not just expenditures that is an average of 400, 500,000. We have payroll every month too.
That's in there.
We also have the project at Harrison that we're trying to finish. And then I have put in the amount that we need to go from October 1 to January 31st. So I've set aside that. So all that bottom line is saying beyond those 4 months, the extra 2 months cushion that you had talked about and that our auditor had said was best practices, that's what we're short on, is that extra 2 months, not the 4 months.
Trustee Box?
Well, we had more than we had 2 months, over 2 months, close to 2 months last month. And now we not only don't have it, we're in the hole. I mean, if it was zero, I would say we didn't have it, but we're negative. You've got the Harrison expense written here, 56,000. That's not in the 2.165 million. Payroll is in the 470, 475 to even 500,000 burn rate. I don't know where the extra, what the extra money is from 1.5 million to 2.165. I request itemized of what this is. And the ICRIM, why wasn't that on last month's? I've asked probably 5 times in the last 6 months, mainly to the previous library director, is we getting paid by ICRIM? And every time I was told, no, they're doing direct to the contract or direct to the vendor or the supplier. This is the first time I've heard that they've paid us. But when did those funds come in, and why don't we have a higher account balance in ICS to reflect it?
Trustee Hammond?
I believe that's the first time I heard that the ICRIM paid us. I did think as well, and I thought we were told ICRIM was making, I think they worked on the contracts with us, and then they were paying the vendors directly. That was my understanding. So I do find that part confusing.
I like we're like at a stalemate because, you know, our business manager met directly with one of the trustees. And after that meeting, there's even further questions. I don't know if every single person sitting here has those same questions, but I feel like this to me is like very clear. We have literally $51,000 left over come January 31st, 2021. So I don't know how much, I don't know how to explain this. I don't think Janelle knows how to explain. We have $51,000 left starting January 2025. And then we have, to best practices, we should have 2 months set aside for expenses. We only have 2 months. So that's where you get the negative $846,000. Like I literally don't know how to re-explain this.
Yeah, I find it a little, I'm not quite understanding it either, because if we went from 812 over, or 812,000, actually almost 813,000 over last month to having 846,000 in the hole, that's a $1.6 million difference, and I'm not getting it either. Sorry. Trustee Box?
Okay, jumping to the bottom and just saying that's what we have is not answering anybody's questions. Here's the sheets that I was given when I met with the business manager, and they're all from 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That wasn't even what I was asking. I was asking why this year did we last month have 813,000 extra? So what was I met over, did not give any explanation whatsoever. The answers to the questions right now are all these itemized or poorly itemized entries and where they came from. And I request that our treasurer get a copy of the ledger and track this down and figure out the iCrint payments, figure out what is going on here. How come last month we didn't have this problem? And, you know, I can say part of it is not enough money's been put in for estimated, or for the estimated payment July 25th. And Alicia Lynch is her name, told me she may have that on Monday. So she'll call me if she gets the number. It's not published till Friday. But I want to get an accurate number. I don't know if it includes the state, but if that's low, that's part of it. But just saying we're only have 51,000 left, that's not answering anybody's questions. The question is that all these numbers up above it, how did we get to that? And that's what I'm asking. And I think our treasurer needs to review it, and I request this to get put on hold.
It's not an action item, so we don't vote to accept it. That's just a
It
discussion.
should be part of.
Interim director?
So what I'm hearing from the trustee is that there is not faith or trust in the work that the library staff are doing to present this information correctly, and that we are presenting it poorly, and that there must be difficulty behind the scenes, so much so that we need the treasurer to come in and help with the books. So I want to make sure that that's indeed what you're saying, because that's actually really harsh and not something I want to sit here and hear. And the treasurer meets with our business manager regularly. So I'm not sure, like, if you think there's something that we're hiding or some bad work that's happening, because that's what I hear.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you're hiding anything. I'm just saying I don't understand it. So, who's first? Well, actually, Trustee Campbell, you haven't spoken yet.
I feel what is needed here.
Microphone.
Oh, I thought I have it on. Can you hear me?
Red light right there.
Do I keep a holding it?
No.
No, not red light on. And then turn
Thank
off
you.
when you're done. You're
Okay,
static.
so I feel that there really isn't an attack here. I just feel like, for me, I also would have liked to have seen it itemized so that we can follow exactly how you got to that number. So I don't think there is a personal attack in any means, just,
So you're dismissing how I.
I'm just saying that I feel like it's necessary for it to be itemized so we can see further.
And I don't think she was dismissing how you feel. I think she's just saying that's where she's coming.
That's
So anyway, Trustee Robinson?
I can't say that I 100% follow all this, but to me, it seems like it is itemized. I don't know how much more nuance we need to see, but also I would like to ask of the business manager, if she can answer it. What does she expect next presentation, which would actually be this month's carry forward worksheet, to look like? If that's something that you can answer, I don't know, but maybe it'll alleviate some thoughts that we're going down a slope into bankruptcy.
And treasurer.
If I may, I am obviously new here, but I have had the opportunity to meet with Janelle, the business manager. I've been grateful for the information she has shared, but if it will help, I plan on reaching out anyways next week because we have other things to go over. I would be happy to meet with the trustees and help explain it from an accounting perspective, just because sometimes it's hard to fully understand. I understand what's happening here, so I don't know if they just need to see further breakdown, which we can give them, because you, in my opinion, have done a great job keeping things organized. So I know how to perhaps break it down if that works.
Right, that would be great. Is that doesn't break open or violate open meeting laws if she relays information?
We would need to be in an open meeting.
Okay. All right, well, yeah, I guess
Oh, you're
we're
right.
having a budget meeting next week anyway, so,
That's true.
trustee Fox?
So I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything funny. I'm just saying, last month, I was in a position where we were gonna have over 813,000 or 813,000 over the extra 2 months that is recommended. And now we're in a position where we're behind 846. So that's 1.65 million that it changed in 1 month. And I can't operate that way. And I don't think the trustees should be having to operate that way. If it changed, 20,000 or 50,000 and there's some reason, I can understand it. But this is completely unacceptable. Last month, I felt we took $813,000 more than we needed from the taxpayers, and that we need to acknowledge that and give back at least 1%, $50,000 of that back. Because we took 813,000 of their dollars that we shouldn't have had to. And now we don't even have enough hardly to make it to January. And we're gonna have to raise it 3%. We can't set a budget with this kind of oscillation going on. That's why I can't understand it, and I want to get to the bottom of it. And just glossing over some line items and saying, well, that's just what it is not sufficient.
Okay, so our time is way up for this. Hopefully our treasurer can get with the business manager and understand it and explain it to us next week in the open meeting in a way that we understand. So we will be moving on to the next item, which is resolution CLN 07-18-2024-1, change of bank signature cards. So this is necessary because we have a new interim director. Okay, go ahead.
And we have a new treasurer.
And a new treasurer. Okay, so right. So I think a good thing. Is there any further questions? Okay, is there? Yeah, there is. Okay, I would entertain a motion to accept the resolution CLN 07-18-2024-1. Trustee Boss?
I move that we accept resolution CLN 7.18.2024-1.
Okay, it has been moved to accept resolution CLN 7.18.2024-1. There's no further discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it is unanimous, and the resolution CLN 7.18.2024-1 is accepted. We'll say that on the right, probably. So our next item is the circulation statistics. Trustee Hewitt?
Yeah, I reviewed the circulation statistics, and not surprisingly, we're down for our circulation and so forth with Athol at Proposed Falls. The only issue I had, and it's not a real big issue, is I could not reconcile the numbers between what's stated on this document here and what's contained in the director's report. There's a summary from each library in the director's report. And in that, it also includes door counts and how many cards were issued. And there's a discrepancy or a difference, I'll call it, between the new patrons, the cards, and then also in the number of people counter. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but those numbers don't reconcile across the board. I found the number of those that are off. So for example, I'll just give a quick one there. I don't want to beat too much time on it. Athol on this document says we had 11, an adult and 1 minor, and yet the sheet of paper in the director's report that talks about what went on in a particular place, it states for 3. So they don't line up. And then going across there for, how's there, sorry, Hayden Lake, those are okay. They line up properly. Anyway, there are a couple of differences, so I don't want to beat it to death, but there are differences, or the bigger one, I'll go down below. One I found was for the people counter. If you look under Athol, it states on this document here, there are 297 persons came in. And then from what I see from the report, in the director's report, it says there's 555. So there's a 200 some odd number difference there. So not the biggest thing in the world, but I think numbers need to jive between what's on this and what's on the director's report. If we're going to report on both places there, they need to be the same, if I read this correctly. That's all.
Mr. Robinson? When the trustee says director's report, is he talking about the board report?
This one.
Yeah, it's, board reports,
Board, I'm sorry, yeah,
which I think used to be part of the, well, anyway, it's
I guess
And
on
title.
the agenda, it's, yeah, line item 10, it says director's report. And that's what I think is what is used most of the time. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out. So not the biggest issue in the world.
guys have any ideas on that? Mr. Manager?
Board reports are done by the library managers, not the director.
They don't like.
Okay, any further discussion or questions? All right, well, then we will move on to the next item, number 10, which is the director's report.
We are in the middle of summer reading, and this summer's theme is Adventure Begins at the Library. So staff have been busy leading programs for all ages that focus on reading, learning, science, and other topics. We've had a great turnout so far. In the collection development report that's included in the board reports, it's just interesting to note that 4 of our 8 locations, their top adult nonfiction item is a cookbook. So I guess we have a lot of home cooks wanting inspiration this summer. On our website, this is the first month that we've listed our collections report that the board requested in the policy. So you should find the Excel version of the June collections report with all the titles that we purchased on our website. And we did not provide copies to trustees. We assumed it was okay to save paper, but if you would prefer something else, then just let me know.
No, thank you.
Mhm.
That's good. That's all.
For facilities, at Apple, drywall and painting are complete, so they're moving along there. Cabinetry has been ordered. And just as a reminder that every cabinet and desk and table at Apple were severely water damaged. And so cabinetry is a pretty big expense and item for Apple. So we are, we have those things ordered. We're just waiting for them to be made. And then flooring was selected and has been ordered for Apple. And we're hoping for a September reopening at Apple. At Post Falls, they've hung the drywall and they're going to be doing more drywall finishing. And then hopefully in about 2 weeks, they'll be doing painting. And again, it's the same thing. Cabinetry has been ordered for Post Falls, and the flooring has been ordered. And we're hoping for a November reopening. And our library staff have all been trained on the key components of the request for reconsideration or request of relocation that started July 1st. Currently, at this time, we have not received any requests for relocation or reconsideration since July 1. I don't have a report to provide to you with that information since nothing has happened. And Then the last thing to report is just that Janelle, our business manager, has turned in her resignation. And so her last day will be July 26th. With that, I would like to say to the board that we are essentially in a crisis situation. We have, once Janelle leaves, we will have lost 2/3 of our admin team. And it is not sustainable to have only one person doing more than 3 jobs. And so I would like the board to remember that as they plan meetings and as they ask for things from the administrative team. You are down to a team of 1 person who's also managing the libraries and supporting staff and helping our customers with their questions and concerns.
I would like to publicly thank Janelle for years of service and the excellent work that you've done. And I would hope that everyone would take it easy on the interim director. That's a lot of stress and I can't imagine. So let's help each other as much as possible. Trustee Hanley?
Three things. Is there anything that this board can do with regard to the short staff now in the admin office? It's a big deal. I understand that. So I saw the job listed this morning, so that's why I knew about it already. But is there anything that we can do or not do? Obviously, giving new tasking probably is one of the things we can do as much as possible, but is there anything else that this board can do to assist?
I mean, I would just say to be mindful of trying not to develop or update new policies would be helpful. Trying to limit the number of board meetings and also realize, that we are trying to get this budget done and it also potentially includes laying off of staff and that in and alone is a heavy issue. So I would just ask for grace and patience as we work through this time and just know that my response on things are not going to be as fast as they would have been.
Ms. Robinson?
Well, I didn't see the job up on, I guess, I don't know where you saw it. I am horrified that you are leaving. I'm very, very sorry that you're leaving. I would hope that the board heard what the interim director just said, how we can help by not overtasking, not trying to bring up more policies in the next few months when it's just one person at the helm. I hope that the board heard that. I have my doubts. And maybe just take a second to see what's happening here, how things are just kind of slightly crumbling. And your last day is the 26th of this month? Well, we gotta find somebody else, right? We don't. Yeah. So the one person at the helm that is gonna be probably battered and bruised by half of this board, regardless, is now going to have to try to find a new business manager to replace one that has been here for as long as the trees out in the parking lot.
Interim director?
I would just like to say on behalf of Janelle that having her sit down and itemize the carry forward worksheet, other things like that, it's highly unlikely that's going to happen. We need her right now focused on wrapping up things she currently has, and she needs to train another staff member. So we need her institutional knowledge more than we need these words. So that might not be a popular decision, but I'm saying right now that that's where her focus is going to be on her last week of work.
Trustee Hanley?
I had two things. One is when you gave me the updates on us on Athon Post Falls. Has that been updated anywhere in terms of to inform the public? Just want to make sure that whether it's social media, whether it's on our website or any other manner in which you get the word out?
Contractor?
We have information on our website that gives the approximate timeline for the reopening. And it gives the phases that we're in. It's not a ton of information, but it is up on our website. And then we did, after last meeting, posted a social media post about it.
Trustee Claus?
Well, I'm sorry to see, hear that you're leaving, Janelle. You answered a lot of questions along the way, so appreciate it. I did have one question when you were going through the library damages and sort of progress. I don't think I ever heard, was there any extra damage that was uncovered, or did we have to do extra insulation or extra drywall that, that was always something we didn't know until we tore it open? Was there anything unanticipated?
Interim director?
I spoke last time that we did make all of the installation up to the current code. So there was not any extra work or any damage that was unseen or super surprising, but everything is going to be done up to code as it is today.
Trustee Hammond?
Yeah, I just had one last item. Again, this is, before I understood, I didn't know before this morning. We get a list of media coverage, all the different articles that were put out in the Coeur d'Alene Press, KXLY. I think I've also seen the spokesman review in the past. Yesterday, I was walking through the Super One in Coeur d'Alene yesterday afternoon, and something caught my eye as I walked past the newspaper rack, and it had a picture of our new trustee Campbell, on the front page, and was in the Kootenai Journal. Now, that was for July. This is a July date, but there were two papers there, so I took last month's as well. And it has a library article in there. It says CLN Library Director resigning position. I'm just curious, how do we determine which media, which publications are used in this summary sheet? And I find that helpful. I usually have seen most of these articles before we get them in our packet, but I'm just curious, is there a certain criteria we use to monitor different media out there?
I would like to see other media, but not right now. It's not the time.
I agree.
There's,
But I just,
but maybe in a few months.
well, I'm just curious, what do we use? Is there any particular criteria? You know, circulation count or anything, or is it just what we happen to learn about? I'm mostly just, because I'm not trying to give any extra tasking right now, but I want to know, you know, which media is considered to be summarized and officially documented in the board packet versus not included, so.
Interim director?
We use the Coeur d'Alene Press and the spokesman review whenever there is a library-ish related item. And we use those because those are the newspapers on record for this area. And then if the library is featured on the news, we also try to get that article from the news station. We do not go beyond those two papers and the local.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, then we will be moving on to job descriptions. I did not get a chance to look through the last one that was put in the deal packets today. Trustee Hammond?
Yeah, the agenda just says, let me find it a second, job descriptions, allotting 10 minutes. And the job descriptions were in the packet I received in the mail. Now, a month or two ago, upon request, I was given all of the whole board was, all of the different job descriptions for the library. And so I thought, that's great, I like that, I have a file at home for that. What I'm trying to understand now is, and I didn't read these for a reason. The first one I have in my hand just happens says webmaster. and it says non-exempt and gives a full job description. But I also had in my file now separately webmaster part-time. So is a part-time going to full-time now? Or was the webmaster full-time not included? Maybe there wasn't a job description before, so now I'd be confused. I go to the next one, similar situation, facility specialist. That's an old one. The new one says facility specialist too. Is that a promotion? Is that an additional position we're creating? The next one I go down to is a facilities coordinator. I don't know how that rolls into things. Then there was a communications coordinator position in this packet. And the new one says communications specialist. Is that an upgrade, downgrade? So I can't, absent knowing, am I getting are these new positions? Are these changing their status from exempt, non-exempt? Are they going part-time, full-time switching? Am I comparing edits that were made from one version to another? So I put no time into reading these other than pulling the existing similar job descriptions I had in my file and putting them side by side with these, and I did not read them for that particular reason because I don't know what my task is on this.
Interim director?
I was under the impression that we were going to have a discussion about what is changing in each of these. So that's what I'm prepared to do, but it was not written out and given to the trustees prior to the start of the meeting. So I don't know if you want to do that now or, what is your preference moving forward?
Trustee Hammond?
My preference would be to understand at this point now, to understand what's being proposed, what are we giving, what are we being asked to review or approve, because it is a trustee's job to approve position descriptions. So, and then punt and put this off, whether it's next meeting or the one after, because I'm not going to sit here and read through a position description that fast. I'm a slow reader anyway, and I'm certainly not going to look through this thing with any quality review. So that's my proposal. I would like to know what exactly is going on with these positions. And then basically not actually do it at this meeting because there's no way it's going to be done in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I had some questions that I wasn't sure would be done in 10 minutes either, but I would like to hear some ideas for us, if we wait until next month. The interim director can give us some ideas to consider until then. Trustee Robinson?
What are we considering?
I don't know.
Not to
I
approve?
simply want to update these to reflect what the people are doing in these jobs.
Oh,
That's what this is, and I'd like the opportunity to say that.
Trustee Box, and we'll go to the interim director.
Sure. I thought part of it was on the budget description of removing some jobs and replacing some, and that was something we were gonna decide on the budget, and that's where this fit in to match it, or are we doing it anyway, whether we approve the budget? Okay.
So the webmaster position, we currently have a job description, I think that's over a decade old, that is for part-time. This position has been and continues to be a full-time position, as well as it has absorbed some social media and other coding duties. So this position that was given to you is literally a summation of what the person doing his job is doing. It's not a new position, it's just reflective of where we are at with that person's job. The
Can I ask one at a time in between? Just, yeah. So the old position description I have in front of me was from September 2016. If that's the right, it says webmaster part-time. So was that webmaster part-time job description? Well, it existed then. Is the person is filling that, the incumbent, now the webmaster full-time already and has this person already been that?
Correct.
Okay, so we're not adding more hours or anything else. Okay, that's the kind of stuff I need to know. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm looking at. Thank you. Thank you.
The library supervisor job description is also not a new position. It was updated at the recommendation of the McGrath Human Resources Group. So basically, they requested that we change our library manager positions to library supervisors, because the duties of the library manager and the educational requirements fall in line more closely with the library supervisor. So what we would do is, if this job is approved, we would have to speak with the 4 or 5 people who have that current title and give them this new title. Their pay stays the same, their benefit stays the same, and is not anything new other than a job change.
Another question on that.
Trustee Henry?
I missed, what is the current job description for this proposed?
Library manager.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Fox?
What sort of things can you highlight change this?
So in our job descriptions, we are trying to put in some consistent language, especially towards the knowledge, abilities, and experience. We're trying to get those updated. So like on the library supervisor position, it's not a lot that would actually change. We're just trying to format it. We've also added some standard language about needing to pass a background check prior to hire. We don't have that in our job descriptions now. We also discussed the ability to work outdoors, like when we have to do programs or parades. So we're putting in things that are pretty standard job description language, but not in our current job description. If that makes sense.
Trustee Henry?
So this would appear to be a downgrade, meaning a supervisor is typically a title lower than a manager. So we're replacing library manager with library supervisor. Is that correct?
Correct. That was what we recommended with the compensation stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Just had one word change on that. Do you want it now or next month?
Yeah.
At number 4, I'd like to replace the word informational with educational. I just feel like informational is kind of a dumbed down purpose of the library. The purpose of the library in statute is for education.
The next job description is the facility specialist 2. So a little bit of background on this is we currently have library specialists 1, 2, and 3s. And with each step that you move up, you have a little bit more educational requirement and you have more complex skills. So we currently have a facility specialist, and we are making this the facility specialist 2. The person in this position has been doing more advanced work than the facility specialist position requires. And the expectation is that this is going to be an experienced person and that they would be doing intermediate to advanced tasks, not beginning level tasks. And this again is not a new position. We already have someone doing this work. We're simply trying to match the job description with the rate of pay and with the duties that.
Trustee Henry?
So just to make sure I understand, this replaces facilities specialist with
We
now
would have,
facility specialist 2.
we would have both the facility specialist and the facility specialist 2, in case we ever get to the time where we could hire a second facilities person. It would probably be a facilities 1, like an entry level.
I remember we didn't fill it one. back.
Yes. So we would keep that whole job description.
Okay, so it doesn't replace anything. It's just an extra position. Oh, this is going to be for the incumbent. Is that
This is
correct?
for someone who's already doing this work.
Okay, and we're retaining the other position. Okay,
But we have not added a facility specialist
Understood.
1 position.
I have a question on the second page under other duties and responsibilities. Second bullet point says may participate in library committee work. Is that committee work with other employees?
Yeah, so like, for example, when we have to reopen the library, then put our books back on the shelves and like do all of that work, there will be a committee that does that, and this person will probably be on a committee like that. Or, so it's sort of those facility pieces, and it's staff committee. The next one is the facilities manager position has been upgraded to a facilities coordinator position. It's one of the only coordinator, it's one of the only positions that is a coordinator status that didn't have that title or the correct rated pay. And so this now makes the facilities coordinator in alignment with our IT coordinator, adult programming, youth services, technical services, they're all now coordinators. We also added educational, supervisory, and work experience requirements. The other job, I think, just said you needed to have a general contractor license. So we're trying to make it a little bit more specific. And it is also, again, reflective of what the person currently in that position is doing for the district.
This is,
Yeah, so this one replaces
The
not
facility.
facilities manager, but, okay, got it.
Mhm.
Just us?
so I would like to add the duty and either under the summary or it should be example, but I think it should be maybe in the position summary, develops emergency checklist and updates emergency procedures. I would like this to be their job to, as they learn things that are weaknesses about the building or things that we have to check, keep a checklist going. Then, facilities 2 specialist just goes and looks at the checklist and makes sure it gets done.
You did the communications one yet?
No.
Okay.
So then, the next one is the communications specialist position. And I put this one in there, like on a wing and a prayer, because I know that might not be something that the board wants to do, but right now we have a communications coordinator position. So this communications specialist position would replace that job. We do not have anyone in the position, and it's been, I think, vacant, I don't know, maybe 4+ months, I think. What I did was I took away the supervisory responsibilities from the communications coordinator and kind of downgraded the position, so that our webmaster and the communications specialist are at the same level, instead of having a webmaster report to the communications coordinator. The duties are reflective of what is needed, including helping with internal and staff communication, board communication, social media, and community relations. And, we do have this position in the budget to be filled in fiscal year 25, and I was just trying to get ahead of the curve. But I understand if the board is not wanting to go that route and wishes to wait for the director to decide on what is needed.
Best thoughts?
Is this not something that the webmaster could do also? One person could fill those?
It is not. Right now, the webmaster and myself are trying to do this job. And there is a lot that is falling through the cracks. Specifically, our internal staff communication is really struggling as far as getting procedures created, helping format documents and policies. Our webmaster is, in some ways falling behind her regular work because she and I are trying to do this job.
Okay. Best thoughts or Tammy, sorry?
So do you need me to make a motion then that we put this off for a future meeting because I have not read those descriptions until I understood what we're doing. So I'm not saying they're bad, they may be great, but I didn't understand what we were trying to review.
I think it's kind of automatic, but, do we think that we'll be ready by next month or 2 months from now?
And there is one more job that was in your table packet, which I might as well just speak about. Which is the circulation supervisor position.
It's the first.
This position was previously called a lead library supervisor. And we have these positions at Hayden, Post Falls, and Rathdrum, the larger libraries. And as we shift in calling the library managers, library supervisors at the smaller locations, we need to clarify because we can't have two library supervisor positions doing different work. So this position is a circulation supervisor, which is more in line with what they do, which is helping train lower level staff, helping be in charge when the library is closed, and helping handle difficult customer service issues. So not a ton changed on that job. And again, we already have people doing this at 3 locations. So it is not new money or new positions. It's just simply a restructuring to align with the library supervisor position.
Treasurer, did I see your hand go up?
No.
No, okay, just reading. Trustee Henry?
So what is, this is replacing lead library, what?
Supervisor.
And there is a position description for that? Thank you.
Mr. Robinson?
So is this also standardizing the titles, kind of what nationwide has for their libraries, and then would help if and when you have to replace somebody, they would know what they were stepping into.
Ms. Foss?
So the only new one is that's unfilled right now, is communication specialist. So we're not, by agreeing or approving these descriptions, we're not agreeing to hire anybody new. And we would just be agreeing to.
Our staff, their right job titles.
Yeah.
Like right now, we could be sued because they're doing work outside of their job description, but they aren't on file.
Mhm.
I mean, to be quite frank, like this is getting us up to where we should have been.
Well, I'm okay with approving those. I do not want to approve the specialists. I mean, I don't want to authorize hiring a communication specialist, but yeah, maybe we take a month to read it and see if there's any wording we want to change. Is that what we're doing?
We could, but Trustee Henley hasn't had a chance to really look over the other ones. Do you want to wait a month or are you fine with?
I'm not ready, I'm not ready to approve any of these right now, but waiting a month, yeah, I can read these in a month. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so in a month, everyone, does that sound good? Okay, interim director?
I don't know if it's asking too much. Is it something that we can revisit at our meeting next Wednesday? Because having these titles in place by the time we need to figure out our staffing structure before we decided people need to be laid off and things like that will go a long way as we work with an attorney so they are on the same page with our title and our descriptions. That's my only request, that we cannot wait a month because we're gonna be in the thick of everything in a month.
Okay, so next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I'll just take 5 minutes then on the agenda for next week.
And I do appreciate you all listening to all this. I know it's very detailed, and so I appreciate your patience and time as we look.
I appreciate your descriptions. Trustee Foss?
And I think it would be optimum to have all this sorted out and approved so that the pay,
Yeah.
the salary and the number of people in the positions for the budget that we're gonna finalize that it matches. So, yeah, let's do it next week.
Okay, well then, if there are no further Better if there's no further discussion, we will go on break, 15 minutes. We'll come back at 3:30. It is 3:30 and this meeting will come back to order. Next item is discussion of fiscal year 25 budget. Thing that we can get it fairly budgeted today so that we can focus on line items.
Would you like me to start?
Yes, go.
Your, table packet and then also emailed to you are the purple sheets, which have the budget information on them. This worksheet has been updated from the board presented worksheet on June 27th. So we're comparing that worksheet to this worksheet to see where we are.
It's fine. Is the one we got at the table the same as the one that came in the mail?
In our email?
Yeah, no, well, we got one in the mail.
What's the date? It should have 7/18.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have to look at the table, the new one, okay. Got it, thank you.
On the draft, we, at the request of the board, have 3 columns, one with 0% growth, 1% and 1.5%. And that was what the board requested the last time we discussed this. And, when we last discussed the budget on June 27th, we were over budget by approximately $300,000. So today with this budget, if you look at line 89 on page 3, we are still over budget. But if we go with like the 1.5%, we've gone from 300,000 down to 95,000. So we have made a dent in it. We're not there yet. And how we got down to $95,000 is that we reduced the cost of living adjustment from 4% to 3% for all staff. And then I implemented the open hours structure number 2, which you also received in the table packet and in your email. So it would be the proposed hour structure number 2, and it looks, and it looks like this. I don't know if other people's looks different.
Yep.
This is like the middle of the road hour structure. When we last met, there was what I interpreted was concern from some of the board members about having 4 libraries closed Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So in this proposed structure, Harrison and Spirit Lake are closed Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But I did add in hours on Tuesday at Apple and at Pinehurst. So, like I said, this is the middle of the road hour schedule. And just for the trustees' information, it would be approximately 10 part-time staff that would be laid off to get to this structure. If we do structure number 1, that would be 12 part-time, and then structure number 3 would be 8.
I'm sorry, 3 is
8.
What was the second one?
10.
Structure number 1 has 12 people being laid off.
Part-time.
Yes.
And 10 and 8.
Yes. This, the way we were able to get down to $95,000, we also, sort of reorganize the outreach department. And we included both children's and adult outreach into one department. And we are keeping the Sprinter van to assist with outreach to our local care facilities. So we would go from having the bookmobile, the Discovery bus, and the Sprinter to just having the Sprinter. And we would still be able to do some outreach to our patrons who can't come and visit us at the library.
Okay, so is that, outreach options number 8?
I honestly don't remember. I just know that I consolidated right now there's like, what does that plan say? And then maybe I can see that.
I think that the option A for the outreach vehicles was having 192,000, and option B was 107,000. But it was, and I think that the first option was not reorganization, but just, and I would refer to reorganization.
Yeah, we have it reorganized. Let's see, I also included at the request of the trustees, the number of people who visit our library. So you would have a page that has like 5 charts on it and has some blocked out areas in black. And this is data that's taken from our what we call door counters. And I don't have accurate data for Post Falls and Apple, so I did not include them. But these are the 5 libraries that we do have data for. And it shows you our current open hours and then the number of people that visit us on average. And that average is taken from January to June of 2020. So this shows you how many people visit, at what times they visit. So like if we were, to close Harrison on Tuesday, you would see that, you would miss those people that day, or they might have to adjust and come one of the other open days. So that's what this tool is supposed to be used for.
Okay, should we discuss that or let you go on?
Go ahead.
Okay, I was thinking that it would be better to have libraries open on Tuesday, especially for students. They can't get in there on Monday. I think it might be important to have it open Tuesday. Trustee Hanna?
I have prepared remarks. Kudos to the admin team or whoever put this library operating hours analysis together. So thank you. I'm aware of factoring all the things that need to be taken into consideration and with changing hours, and it's complex. And what I find most impressive about it is that its data and associated costs, the data and the costs are very clear to me and helpful in making budget decisions. All 3 proposed options offer considerable taxpayer savings. And the one which appears to have the minimal patron impact of the 2, and there's one that does have a lot less impact. They appear to offer reduced staff hours associated with the lower patron door counts. So what it came down to when I looked at it was, I thought that option, they don't call them options, they're called structures, but option 3, structure 3, appeared to me to have the least negative impact on the patrons of the library. I agree, I didn't like to see a library close anywhere for more than 2 days, let's say for a weekend or a Sunday, Monday, or whatever. I know that one offers the least amount of savings. It's almost $162,000. But the only thing I didn't like on it was when I went through the data, I would not if I say it was structure 3 or option 3, I would not recommend closing Rathdrum on Mondays, because I did look at the count, patron count, and it's relatively high. So that's a day that would inconvenience a lot of patrons. So my personal take on this whole thing is I like option 3. It requires the fewest number of layoffs. I didn't even know layoffs were going to be necessary to get to these hours, but it's the least impact for staffing, the least inconvenience for patrons, But I do think that, the savings will be a little less because I think we should stay open on Monday just because of the door count. Those are my comments on my initial run on this thing.
Director?
In response to Rathdrum staying open on Monday, I understand that, but I also, we have, Rathdrum is managed as if it is a small library, so it has what would be a library supervisor, not a community librarian, like Post Falls and Cleveland. And so we would need to actually look at potentially changing the management structure at Hayden at Rathdrum, based on their increased circulation to make it more, because it's much bigger than these smaller libraries. Do you see what I'm saying? So like, if we have it open 6 days a week, we need to have a true community library manager there who would make more money, and then we would need more staff there. So we would actually like save even less money than the $161,000.
Okay, that was kind of one question. Yeah, that was actually one of my lower lines I didn't realize. I'm hoping that different options still offer workable staff and shift hours. That's where the complexities come in, as you're saying there. That's, I'm not up on,
And that's like when you have a library that's open 6 days a week, you need to have more people working, and then you need to probably have a couple more full-time staff to help, so you're not filling all the gaps with part-time staff, which again is another increase. And Rathdrum is growing, so it's, I realize we don't want to lose the Monday people, but having a 5-day-a-week library operation there is what currently works and what our budget could support with our staffing level.
Mr. Glass?
So I'm, trying to look at the big picture on this whole thing. So some of these things you built in to get us here, to get us to where what you presented here, which to me, the 0% increase is short 170,700. So I'm looking to not do anything to make that even more. I would like to find ways to get that bottom line to zero. So you've done, it sounds like you did the low hanging fruit, basically. You did the going to only Sprinter van, you picked reduced hours to not the worst or the most amount of savings, but number 2, and you've changed the COLA 4% to 3%. Where do what other options are we looking at, or can we look at to get that 170,000? But I guess what I was going to ask also was, you had on this, on the job category and description, you had the second column, 87% reduction. Is that built into this someplace, or, okay, maybe you can explain that.
Right, so Trustee Robinson, you were next. You want to defer to the interim director, or you want to go first? Okay, you'll be next.
I mean, there could be other cuts, such as not hiring the human resources specialist that is proposed in this structure, not hiring the communication specialist that is proposed in this structure. You could eliminate outreach entirely. You could close a library entirely. These are the difficult conversations that we are in, because we have already cut about $300,000 from our base operations, like repair and maintenance, just generalized services, right? We've already shaved things off of that. And then we got some shaved off with these staffing plans. So I honestly think like we need to look really closely, and even though it's not everyone's favorite, maybe we have to go with structure. Where we are truly closed 3 days a week, because that's what's gonna get you the savings that you need.
Dr. Robinson? Okay, and going with the term that was just said, savings that we need. We don't 100% need these savings because by not taking any percentage, and last time we talked about 1 or 1.5%, focusing on the zero, you're taking a lot of service away from the taxpayers to save them just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of money. So I am adamantly not for going with 0% and trying to shave more money off or close libraries down even more. I understand the structure 3. I do have an issue with every library being closed on Sunday because I was thinking about that today and I thought how horrible that is for a person not to have an option. I did remember that Coeur d'Alene Library is probably open on Sundays, but that's Coeur d'Alene, that's not CLN. And our taxpayers deserve to have access to a library on a Sunday, in my opinion. It is soulless that Coeur d'Alene could catch our folly if we do close all of them on Sundays. But I think we really need to think about taking so many services away from our public to save them $10 to $15 a year. Trustee Fox?
So the reason I'm saying the 170,000 is the goal is because then we can decide what do we want to add in. But even if we take a 3% increase, you can only get 151,000. You can't get 170. We cannot have this 170,000 deficit right now that's showing with the zero. We have to find ways to get it lower. I'm not interested in 3% myself. I'm not interested in 2%. But what I was asking, I guess I didn't get the answer, is what is this 87% column? Is that already been included? Because that's 136,000 from the scheduled hours to the other.
Interim director, wait, is there a line number for that? Or is that?
It's on the next sheet after the category structure. It's a column. It's called 718 draft proposed salary expenditure budget.
The 87% reduction is something that's factored into this budget already. And it is what we use to calculate our part-time staff hours, assuming that they will not utilize and be at work every single hour that we have scheduled them for. So that's already in this budget.
Only for part-time?
Yes, because full-time staff would get paid because they would use their vacation or sick leave. I could also, that we keep our libraries open, but we shift the days, the hours that we're open. We could say maybe Rathdrum is only open 28 hours instead of 36. Maybe Hayden and Post Falls are only open 40 instead of 48. And we have some late starts and, we don't open at the same time every day. I have seen library districts do that when money is really tight. So there are other staffing scenarios. This is just one that, is consistent across the board, but if we need to do it differently, we can.
Okay, so I think last month, I didn't really like the youth services idea. But the more I thought about it and read, someone said that it would be an adjustment, but we would not fall behind like science libraries. But right now, CLN has 2,170 programs. Nampa has 556 and Meridian has 1,196. So that's like half or a quarter to half of what we have. So I was thinking maybe we could add that in and then go with the two least impactful options of the other two proposals, and that would get us to within $10,000 being budget fair balance. Interim director?
I have to say that I sort of already put that youth services model in here.
Okay.
So I have, basically the staff that work in these services have been reallocated to, their home library that they work at for the exact same number of hours. But they're now counted as one of the FTE for that library instead of being in their own department. And then some of those staff have been moved into this generalized outreach department, and then a few have been on the layoff list.
Okay, so that's still the $98,000 earned
Yeah.
savings? Okay,
Yeah.
So that's already in there.
Yeah.
Right, Trustee Robbins?
I also would propose that, line 47 legal fees or legal services. Fiscal year 24, we have it at 47,000. It's proposed to be 72,000, and I know why it is proposed that. But I say that we move that down to 50,000, which is a $22,000 savings. And we don't have our attorney at every meeting.
Which line was that?
74.
74. If we didn't have him at just one meeting a month, that's a $9,900 savings. And we have more than one meeting a month.
And now that the materials policy is done, we should be having a lot less meetings going forward. Trustee Robinson?
I say that even when we have policy meetings, he does not have to be there for every policy meeting. We can come up with questions ourselves and submit it to him, because even when he's here, sitting here, not really contributing, we still send him home with questions. So we pay him to be here, and then we pay him to go to his office, and whoever does the work, and we get billed for double. So I am very adamant that we lower this legal service to 50 grand. I'd like to go even lower, but I'll go to 50.
Maybe 60 and just see how the next year goes.
like 50.
Yeah, I was thinking that we were getting a lot of bad information. We didn't know what to think, and we needed an attorney here to give us, what the correct information was so that we could move forward.
Who are we
But that
getting
doesn't-
that information from?
But that doesn't seem to be the case anymore.
Who are we getting bad information from?
Well, I'm not gonna sit here and.
Okay, well then let me ask this.
I'm just saying.
Does he normally contribute a lot when he's here? When he's actually here? Because I know when he has a report to give, he has like 5 to 10 minutes to give it, and he never finishes unless I push for his time to be extended. So I would prefer if our attorney was at none of our meetings unless there was an absolute reason for him to be there.
Trustee Fox?
Also, could we ask him to send his associate? He must have a lot lower rate or significantly lower rate, and he could go back with the questions, and they're gonna work maybe in the office anyway, but I don't know that we need the high power attorney. I'd like to ask him about that, if that's an option, because he does have an associate, Alex, I think.
Trustee Henry?
Yeah, I would say I could support reducing that from 72 and dropping it 10 or 15,000. I wouldn't go too dramatically because we underestimated last year for this year's budget. We're obviously going over. I can see reducing it somewhat because I think we went through unless something else pops up, I think we went through some of our most contentious issues, but we still always need legal advice here and there. But I wouldn't go too low, but I support Trustee Robinson's idea of reducing it, maybe not quite as much.
Interim director?
I will bring up again that we could, remove the HR generalist from the budget that is being presented here. That would be a new position. It was designed to help support the admin team and help support staff, but it would save like 53,000 if we didn't do that position. So that's something to consider. I would really advocate to keep the communication specialist because we need that person, but the HR generalist, we could probably go without.
Okay, so I think from the last time I wrote down, that the 0% / growth only, we would need, to save 376,000. With the 1% increase, we would need to save 325. If we use all three of the options that were proposed last time, but use the least impactful ones on the first two, that would save us 366,000. And then if we reduce the legal line, then that should bring us right about balance.
Is that removing outreach entirely?
No, I think that was going with the lower option, the $107,000 savings rather than the 192.
I'm a little bit lost, all the numbers you said.
That
And
was,
I would, like, if I could, I would advocate using the 718 budget because like things have changed, even though they shouldn't have changed dramatically. I would utilize this,
Most if I did the math for the
yes,
last.
to calculate, like if we lowered legal to 55, that would be a $17,000 cut. And then at the general, which is roughly 53, that's 70,000 right there.
Plus.
so I know you were naming off those things from last time, but I'm under the impression all of them have been put in. All of these different things, except for now we're coming up with new ones. Is there any from last time that haven't been put in to this 718?
Really, it's like an amalgamation. Because I've had longer to think about it and did more research about our visitors and circulation.
It's the step plan.
Yes, it is. Longevity is in there. Staff.
And how much is that adding to the salary? Is that broken down someplace?
I think in my conversation we had at our last meeting, I think it's approximately $140,000 to get people who have been here a while onto the plan. And I think it's actually, now that I'm thinking about all these steps, it's even less than that because we put in a formula where people who people who work 32 hours or more a week are given a 1-to-1 ratio for the steps. And then people who work less than that are given a 2-to-1 ratio. Whereas before it was people who worked 20 or more had a 1-on-1 ratio. So we modified that and have it in there. I don't know if that. I'm literally trying to save every penny that we can and keep as many staff as we can.
Trustee Fox?
Because the bottom line, the only way this one works 718 is assuming we've got at least 170 or 171,000 extra. That's why I'm really keen on getting this resolved about the carry forward, because that looks like we're 800,000 short. I don't think we have it in the savings until we get that figured out.
Okay, so for the three proposals that we had last time, did you modify them further? Because it seems like if we done all three, then we would be within $10,000 being balanced.
They've all been modified slightly, and I'm regretting that I didn't put all that down on paper, because it's all up here and on the spreadsheet. We have modified our youth services department, we've modified outreach, we modified the step plan. And then I went with open hours scenario number 2. So those are like the things that are in this document, getting us down to 95,000.
Okay, so could we go back and modify them as they were listed on this, because like I said, that should have given us a 366,000 savings and would have put us within $10,000 of being balanced at the 1%.
On that sheet, those are that you just have, that you said if you do all three,
Mhm.
that you get that. You can't do all three. Those are different structures, just like is presented today.
I think she's talking about outreach, new services, and the hour structure
Yes.
as the three things.
So this was from last month. Any bounce down?
No.
I mean, I also like, I hear what you're saying, that we can be almost at that point, right? But looking and navigating, we aren't almost at that point. Like, I'm part of me thinks like, I wonder, did I do some of the numbers last time wrong or something like that? Because we aren't right, or we shouldn't be right by implementing three things. We're still short.
Okay, yes. Because savings could have been like 162,000 plus 107,000 plus 98,000, which comes out to be about 367,000. Should have got this.
And that's what I'm saying. It's not like,
Trustee Robinson?
Can you tell me exactly what you mean? Because the three things you're talking about is, one of them is the outreach. Are you talking about getting rid of the outreach? Because I wasn't following all the things you were saying.
No, I think that was a reorganization.
Oh, reorganization. Okay, that, and I have that paper, but not up here, so I'll have to look at that. And then also, I know one trustee said that he was for structure 3, the hour structure 3. I'm just curious why that, and it's trustee Hanley, so he knows I'm talking about him or to him. Why do you like 3 over 2 exactly?
Yeah, going through it, I just saw I saw too many closures, I guess, or too many reductions of hours for the patrons, for the libraries as a whole. So I wasn't trying to burden the patrons disproportionately, so I thought structure 3 was the least impactful in a negative fashion of the 3 options we were given, and that's why I took that one. I went through line by line by line on these things, and as I said, the only one I had an issue with under option 3 was with Rathdrum, but it's also closed under structure 2. So, and I just I'm all for trying to save money, believe me. We answer to our constituents. I'm not a politician. I'm a realist about costs going up, and I'm also not even necessarily opposed to 1%. If there's something that's desperately needed here, because again, not taking an increase has a compounding effect down the road. We never make up for it. So if we don't increase what we bring in, next year we're basing our budget on a smaller number, and that goes on indefinitely. But so I'm not proposing necessarily increase the budget, but so if that answers the question for the other trustee, though, I thought that option 3 there was the least negative impact on the community.
Thank you.
Interim director?
one thing I know that is different on this month's versus last month is, for example, the director's salary. It was lower last, the one that was originally presented. So there's all these little things like that that are making up that difference. And that's why we're not at the point when you use last month's scenarios with this budget, because there are little differences here and there. Like that's an example of one.
Trustee Campbell?
I'm also in favor of proposal structure 3, for the very same reason that
Hours?
for the open hours, yes, for the open hours. Because if you look at Harrison, I calculated, how many patrons for each day. And Tuesday was the second highest for Harrison of Tuesday being open. And if you go to Spirit Lake, it was the highest patrons on Tuesday and the rest of the days. So that's why I also, even though I would love to save more money also too, I feel like it would be a disservice to our patrons if we had Tuesdays closed.
So it sounds like we have a majority consensus of three that would like option three, so that Tuesdays are still open. Trustee Fox?
Well, I don't know, there has to be some way to figure out the staff, and maybe that's been optimized, but if going to option three makes us hire another person down at Harrison that we don't have to do otherwise, I think maybe there's some other combination that we can do it with and still have some hours on Tuesday and less hours on another. I don't know. But what I wanted to ask was, it'll be a new year and our new library director will be here, but we're still not opened in Post Falls at the beginning of October. Can we put off, take a chunk out of materials and just not buy as much materials, say, before January? Because we're still trying to figure out Post Falls Library, and I think you're still trying to figure out what materials you're going to be able to buy with iCrimp money. But if we could take 75 or 100,000 out of that, assuming we just kind of stop buying until January, or and there's too much going on, I think, with two libraries that are still just getting started back up to be worried about buying more material. So I would say that's something we could consider.
Mr. Robinson?
They were told by Director Eccles, and I assume it's correct that there's, when it comes to purchasing books, you miss out on getting the new books that are out for like that week or that month if you don't actually purchase them. Could we hear from the interim director on that?
That is true. I would not recommend stop buying books. If you are wanting, let's say, reduce collections by 30,000, it would be implemented in a way that would be best for the collection as a whole. So we would buy what we need to buy when we need to buy it. We would just have a smaller budget. So it wouldn't be like ceasing purchasing on this date for this library. That's not how our structure really works. So, I mean, if you are wanting to go that route, that's could be a $30,000 savings.
Response?
And I think we've talked about it, but software, is there anything that can be done about that? 108,000.
There isn't anything, no. It's, we don't have any space in there for new purchases. We just have some space in there for expected increases overall. And we can't really do without the software that we currently have.
Oceanic?
I just want to make sure I understand also the total salaries and benefits figures. Is that based upon option 2, structure 2?
Correct.
Okay, so if we went to structure 3, it'll be less savings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Boss?
Then line 43, janitorial, if you're going to close some of the libraries, has that been adjusted? 160,000, or I guess it's 175,000 next year. Wouldn't that be adjusted down? Because you wouldn't have as many days? Does that come for free with the closing?
It would not get adjusted down. Like, our big libraries that are open 7 days a week are still gonna be open 6 days a week, and we already, like, conserve and don't have service every single day there anyway. So there would not be much savings unless it was, you know, a tiny bit that we would save at Harrison or something like that, but there wouldn't be much savings. Because we're already very lean in that category.
Okay, so I think our time is kind of up for this section. Not sure that we accomplished anything. Trustee Robinson?
Is there a few things that we have come to agree on to give direction to the director, interim director?
Well, we did agree on option 3, but that does save us money going from option 2 to actually has, yeah.
It's 30.
So that and the attorneys,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we have consensus on dropping the
60,
attorneys. You would like 50, you would like
60.
60.
Drop it by about 15. I didn't look at the numbers.
72 minus
72.
15.
What's that?
55.
55, 57.
On 60 maybe? I mean,
55, split the,
Fine, yeah.
whatever.
I'll go with 60.
And so 60, we've got 3.
Mhm.
So, and hopefully we can get it down to even less than that, but I don't want to under budget for it and then.
You had 2 at 55. Does anybody want to go at 55?
No, I thought we had 3.
We have 2 at 55.
I'll go to
We
55.
could. I missed that. So we could put it in the middle, sort of 57,
Whatever.
57. Okay, looks like we have 4 lots. For 57, trustee Hanley.
No, not on that subject.
Oh, okay, trustee Plus.
Not on that subject either.
Oh, then, no, go ahead.
So,
I still have the budget.
trustee Hanley.
My question is for the interim director. What's the thing we're cutting or losing or not getting that's most disturbing? Should we decide to increase or what we take in for tax purposes? So what's the most painful thing that we're doing, we're agreeing to so far? Because again, I'm going back, I'm saying, I'm a realist, costs have gone up, they're gonna keep going up. And the more the time they keep printing more paper money out there or whatever digital, it's gonna be worth less money. And so I'm not trying to spend more money, I'm not trying to increase taxes, but is there something in particular that is most disturbing to you or the staff that we're not doing? Besides not, giving a 10% raise, I mean.
I don't know that I fully understand your question, but let me just try to answer it. What I see in this budget is the trustees agreeing that staff are important and that they are agreeing to a cost of living raise and letting us do longevity, which is going to go a long way for the staff who have been here many years. So to me, that's a really big win. I believe that what is of concern to me is that we could save quite a bit of money going with an option other than structure number 3. And I realize none of us want to be the bad person taking away library hours, but we are truly in a pickle. Like our budget is approximately $6 million and we need to cut approximately 12 to 13% of that budget. And I think there need to be some really hard choices made by the trustees. And I don't know if that answers your question or not. I'm really thankful for what we're doing for the staff who are going to stay. I think we're creating a strong, well-supported group of people. I think that will be happy. But I think we need to look a little deeper because a 12 to 13% budget cut is massive.
Thank you.
Trustee Claus, and then we need to move on to the next.
I forgot to bring up, I still disagree with the insurance being 105,000 because I think where that number came from was the full quote from Redmond when they brought it in and still keeping what we had. But the idea was the iCurrent one would have gone away. I think it's doubled, it's not doubled up, but I think it's like an extra 30,000 or 35,000 added in there over the Redmond. Redmond did quote 105. And I think that's what was put in there. So I think that number is too high. I think it should be, well, I have no idea what is going on with insurance, but it'd be nice to still get a quote. We wanted to do that by September. When they wanted it all in the works. I don't know whatever happened to that, but if we could get the next week, get them to give us a ballpark quote or something, we'd know, but yeah, that's not her.
Yeah, when we're done laughing. Interim director.
Great. So the price for insurance is high. I think it was in the budget that was presented in May. I think that line item was like 122 or 130, so we cut it a little bit to 105. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if we're gonna be at 75 or 80. We have two massive claims, that could hurt us. And so I think it would not be smart to put it back down at 50 or even 60,000, but we could potentially look at lowering that amount. I have spoken to a broker this week, but there's no way that we're gonna get an estimate before we get this budget published. So I don't know how to answer that question.
So
One last question.
it's super duper.
It's really fast. No, my biggest concern right now is we only have one more budget meeting scheduled. I don't think we've gotten to our goal of having a balanced budget. I don't know how we're gonna get there in our next meeting. I don't know. So that's my biggest concern where we are now. We didn't lop off too much money here. We still don't have a balanced budget. So just because of the fact we have one more meeting, as far as I recall, budget, and then we have a budget hearing. So we need to have a completed budget. So that's a concern more than anything else.
Not line items yet.
Yeah.
Interim director?
If I could summarize what I'm hearing. So reduce legal to 57,000. I propose cutting the HR generalist, which is approximately 53,000. I hear lowering insurance maybe to 85,000 as the approximate number.
Okay.
And I hear that we want to implement structure 3. And then I hear possibly cutting our collections budget by 30. And Trustee Hamley is correct. We literally have one more meeting and then we have to get it published in order to meet legal statutes and to get money for next year. What I can do is implement a budget with these changes and we can see where we get to. I know that some of the trustees might not be happy to hear it, but you could also go all the way up to 3%, which would give you an extra $75,000 based off the 1.5% that we have here. So what I can do is see what these changes can make and, then we'll hash it out on Wednesday. We have to get this done. And then be in a lockdown until we do. In all honesty.
Okay, yeah, that all sounds good. Treasurer?
And just to clarify, I heard you say cut HR, generalist, insurance, cut collections, but you also have legal service. And then I thought I heard you were talking about outreach potentially also being cut. Was that?
It's already, the modification is already in this current plan where we are shrinking to one vehicle and shrinking our staff.
Okay, so it reflects it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we need to move on. The next item,
You want me to do?
yes, so we have consensus on all those things that she said.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
no,
Okay, so we've got three yeses.
I want a collections more than 30,000 to be considered.
So drop it, like,
I had said if we cut it until January, so that would be, two October, November, December, it'd be 1/4 of it is what I was proposing, but more than that.
okay, Trustee Robinson, you were
I'm,
good with 30,000?
yes,
Drop.
and are we seeing these all still in the 0, 1, and 1.5?
That's what you all
columns?
need to talk.
Please.
Okay, so yes, we have consensus on all that, and then what's the highest you guys are willing to look at as far as raising the budget? What percent? 1, 2 for 1, 2, 3?
2, at least.
Depends totally on what we find out about savings.
Okay, well, she needs to come up, she needs to punch numbers
We
before
aim for
next.
0 because we may not have anything.
Well, we have to have options. So you guys want to go back to 0, 1, 2, or you want to stay 0, 1, 1.5?
That's what we got.
Or do you want to try 2? See what it
No.
looks like. I'm talking past you. Sorry, I didn't mean I'm talking past you again.
Well, how painful is it to put the different scenarios? Meaning, is it simply add on the column? That's
No.
our legal sheet, but
It's a day's work to get this done, and these papers fit 3 columns.
Yeah,
So it doesn't
okay.
really add a first column because it's gonna be messy.
So the columns are exactly the same. The only difference is how much we're taking out of savings on the bottom line. So just,
Okay, yeah. She just needs to know 0, 1, and 1.5, or 0, 1, and 2.
just leave it the way it is.
I like with the way it is.
That's fine.
yeah, I think it'll work out. Yeah, it's
Okay, so you have
It's only-
consensus
it's just
that
how much we
the
go.
1.5. Okay, so now we're moving on to the next thing, which is discussion of minors card policy. This is not an action item. I think I meant to put it on there, but I decided to catch it. The interim director suggested that this be a discussion highlighting what trustees feel will be modified in the policy. And she would come back with the draft at the August regular meeting.
just to do with the minor part. That one on?
This is,
Do you have copies for us?
Sorry, yep, there's another one.
we can
I
share.
had an extra.
Yes. You need one?
I had one for everybody. Oh.
Okay.
Need the next one down here?
Okay, so trustee Hanley, would you like to go first? and
Sure.
Pass something out?
Oh, yes, well, I passed things out. I passed out a current copy of the library card for minors policy with edits. I moved on it with pen and made copies. And the overall general theme here is that there was a new card policy put out back in March of last year. And we have a new statute on the books out there. It says we have to protect the children from material harmful to minors. And so the way I'm looking at it is, if a person has an adult card, they can access material from anywhere within the CIM, including, we'll say, non-CLN, meaning like, for example, the Fort Lane Library or Liberty Lake or a number of other places. So I'm basically looking at this thing, unless you're an adult, you've reached majority status, you should not be able to get an adult card. Children will still be able to get materials if their parents want it by the parents checking a book out, ordering a book and giving it to the child if it's a book we don't think they should have. But, a person, meaning a parent can't ask a child to go into a store and buy a pack of cigarettes for the parent. Nor could they do the same thing for cigarettes. They can't give out majority status to a person who's a minor. And so a minor is a minor. And so that was the theme in here of what I changed. They were not dramatic changes, not too bad in my opinion, but so that's where it is. I can just go through one or two of these lines, but that's the theme of what I did here. I said, we have a responsibility to ensure material offered to minors is not available to them. And so the current policy does not support that. It needs to be tweaked, in my opinion. Things have changed. That's kind of what I did here.
Okay, so you guys think that this is a simple enough change, we can get it done in the next
I do.
25 minutes? Okay, well, trustee Claus?
Yeah, that's why I brought this. I think we can just go seriatim, let's go through. I don't, I'm not looking at it the same way trustee Hanley is, but we probably have the same kind of things. I've got mine marked up, but how about just going through it? Paragraph, or line by line, or paragraph by paragraph.
Trustee Robinson? Middle school and high school students that are not 18 generally have a little thing called reports that they have to do for school. And luckily nowadays, when they get these assignments in school, teachers don't let them just get their information off of a computer. They have to actually cite books, which is really good for the children's mind. This 18 and under, 17 and under children's minds, to have to actually go into a library, find or ask a librarian to find a forum, a book that they can get information out for their report that they were assigned at school, and they can cite this information. They cannot do that if they don't have an all access card. They have to bring their mommy and daddy with them to be able to get a book on George Washington, if that's what their report's on. So I am 100% a no on saying minors have to have the minor card. Parents have to have the ability to say, my kid, I know my child, and I'm fine with them even getting a creepy Stephen King book if they want it. But if they're cookbooks, right? In fact, we had a speaker in here that got her child a minor's card and then had to reverse it back because the daughter decided she wanted to start cooking. So they got some cookbooks and she had to get a different card. Because guess what? I guess that mom didn't want to come in here with her and check it out under her own card. So this, I just hope that you guys understand, when we made these minor card policies, we looked at like so many, I'm not saying this can't be altered somewhat, but we had to look at every scenario of good, bad, and ugly of making these cards and giving the parent the option of what card their child's going to have. So I will never agree to saying minors are only authorized to be issued one of the two levels of limited access cards described below. I'll never be okay with that.
Okay, I think that to comply with the law, we can't allow them to have all access. But anyway, since, so everyone's had an opportunity to speak, and the majority of the board would like to go through this seriatim. So we will start, I guess, with the first, actually, do we need to go through the implementation target dates?
No,
That's administrative, I think.
Okay, all right, then we will go on to the first paragraph. It starts with parents and legal guardians. Looks like trustee Hanley would like to change that first can and fifth word to may. Agreement on that? The first paragraph that starts with parents and legal guardians can, so changing that can to may. That
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so do we have consensus on that? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so Ken has changed to May. Right, the next one. And if anyone has any other changes to the paragraph, or not.
I do.
Okay, trustee Fox.
Um, I want to just delete the end. This part, and is not dependent on the minor's age. I want to delete that phrase. So the extent that the child has access is the responsibility of the legal guardian. I guess I could just delete it is dependent on minor age, but it's dependent on the guardian. They can put them in the 0 to 12, they can put them into 13 to 15, or they actually the 16 to 17 was never specified in this policy. But I believe that's the young adult. They can put them in any of them. That's all covered by our new policy under 18. But I think just delete that.
Excuse me,
Trustee Robinson?
you. I believe that, that's exactly what that says. It's not dependent on the minor's age. So the parent can put their 17-year-old in the 0 to 12 category because it's not dependent on the child's age. Is that correct?
That is correct, because the parent might have a 16-year-old that they only want to have 0 to 12 access, or they could have, you know, an 8-year-old that they want to have access to the teen collection. A couple of things, if I could just say, I think we really need to run this through our attorney. This is a major change to a policy that's infringing on individuals' rights and freedom to access information. I'm quite concerned that this would be pushed through in just 25 minutes today. And, we do not have a library cards policy. What we created was this library cards for minors policy. And so essentially you are eliminating that policy and creating a brand new library card policy, which needs to involve library staff in the creation of that, since we are the ones who issue cards, we manage the permissions. And so this is presented as something much different than I thought we were going to do today, which was just having a general discussion, not completely building a new policy from scratch.
So policies always go through the attorney at the end anyway. Sure. Trustee Robinson?
I know that I said, you know, there's no reason for the attorney to be here at meetings on a regular basis. But I believe that our attorney would have a big problem with this first sentence change.
Which he would let us know at the end, say you can't do that.
Yes.
So,
But why go through meeting after meeting trying to formulate one when I'm pretty sure that that's not something he would approve?
Trustee Hanley?
I think somewhere there's some precedent, minors don't have the same necessary rights under First Amendment that adults do. We will formulate our policy, that's our job. And then when we finish, we pass it on to our legal counsel for review. So I think that's an unnecessary slowdown. Say we press on. We finish, we give our finished product to the attorney review.
Okay, so references on either the Hanley version of the rest of that paragraph or the clause.
What was the reference? Oh, I'm good either way.
Well,
I think trustee Fox?
I had what Trustee Hanley has further down, but I'm considering there's 3 levels. And the 3rd level is young adult that was totally not defined in this policy. I guess it was included in open access, basically as adult. So when you got to 16, you were open to everything. Anyway, what I'm doing is changing C down there to just access to minor collections 0 to 18. And that includes children 0 to 12, teen 13 to 15, and young adults 16 to 18. So the C option would be all three minor. And that I think is what he's saying here, but he's saying 2 levels.
Yeah.
There's really 3, I think.
Okay, yeah, actually, I think I like that better. So, crossing or deleting and is not dependent on the minor's age, and then we'll add that C later. Do we have majority consensus on that?
Yes.
Okay, we do have majority consensus on that change. Is there any changes to, is there any further changes to that paragraph? Go on. Okay, moving on. So number 1, any changes there?
Oh, I have it on here. Yeah,
Oh, we did.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll make it.
There's,
I would think that if they're a parent or a legal guardian, they probably already are 18. Trust class.
so Word says this is wrong here. It's got it under blue. So the original policy, there identify,
Oh, yeah, look at that.
present proof of their identity.
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 Yeah. Oh,
Well,
no, how do you spell identity? Yeah.
Dent. Maybe. Trustee
Yeah.
Hanley?
yeah, again, going back to the overall theme of this thing is a person would have to prove that they're 18 or older in order to get a regular full access card. So that's why I put on there, parents or legal guardians must present their identity, majority status, show ID, and the current address in order to get a card. Because that person is then going to be the one that authorizes minors. And so that's the reason why I put that. So am I obsessed with it? No, but I have to rethink this whole thing through here. But to me, you should come in there and you should be able to prove who you are with some kind of identification, that you are 18 or older, and here's your current address, and you get a card. Because it says in order to obtain a card for their child. I can back off it. I'm flexible here, so if it's not necessary, fine.
Hey, Trustee Claus?
So I'm willing to trust that they're the parent doing it. But what I'm worried about is open access. And that's where I'm saying I'm adding a number 8 under 7. Open access library cards are only issued to patrons age 18 or older. Proof of age shall be provided with government issued ID for those under 30.
Okay,
I know, but I'm saying that's covering, I think he's.
all right, so other than changing identify to identity, are we fine with number 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got consensus on that. Number 2, any changes?
Nothing.
None for me. No, okay. Number 3, any changes?
No.
Okay, hearing none. Number 4, just the numbers, we're not into the letters yet. Any changes in that? Oh,
Is it three still?
yeah,
Yeah.
we should say three.
This last
Yeah.
one is
Leave it.
17,
Leave it at
17.
Okay, so consensus to leave it as is. So 4A,
We'll change.
any changes there? Okay, 4B, any changes there?
No.
Well, it's the age.
Trustee Campbell?
So like, it has been mentioned before, there's nothing said about age 16 and 17.
That's at C.
So I'm just
Right.
wondering, if we should make the teen collection from ages 13 to 17, because It is designated as young adult age group.
They've already split them out into those 3 age groups. And I think trustee Claus added the
Number
number
C.
would incorporate that.
So we're leaving 15?
Okay,
Oh,
so B, we're leaving the same.
I think so.
Okay, so then we will move on to C without any changes to B. Okay, and trustee Claus.
So what I wanted to do is just strike what's there for C and replace it with access to all minor collections 0 to 18. That's the third way, which includes children 0 to 12, teen 13 to 15, and young adult 16 to 18. I don't think you want to make it only young adult. I mean, number B has both. So I was proposing the third one, C, have all 3.
What do you?
Right, so entirely replacing C.
Oh, yeah.
So is that a third card now? You gotta change the 2 back to 3.
The third minors level, I guess.
Well, there is a third level.
Oh, then you gotta change 2 back to 3.
I didn't
Number
change,
4.
Yeah, we did.
I didn't change it to 2.
In paragraph.
So the third one could just be called like all minor access.
Yeah.
Or. Interim director?
I don't know, if it's clear that this is, we're now going to have 4 types of library cards for children. Because we have the 0 to 12, the 0 to 15 or 16, then we're gonna have 0 to 18, and then we still have open access for the whole collection.
I would think with the H710 that we can.
No, there'll be no open access for minors.
I think, so this is the fundamental difference is that we didn't have material that's equal to minor in our collections. Otherwise, we never would have purchased it. So like, that's what
So I wasn't tuned in.
no, I'm like, we don't have harmful to minor material in these collections already. So it's like, I find this is very extreme and I don't know, like, I think.
I think that a majority of the board would disagree with that statement respectfully. And the open access would also give kids access to CIN and some of those libraries are in
They're
Washington.
limiting, so kids can no longer buy anything from, or get anything from any CIN library.
Yes. That's
Well,
right.
with their own card.
With their own card. The parents can order whatever they want.
That's what has to happen.
We can.
And they can always say, hey, mom and dad, would you order this book for me or reserve it for me? And the parents,
I
Would
really
absolutely
wish I had been told that this was what this was gonna be, because I was focused on the budget, and to like throw this out without allowing any preparation from the library staff side, I feel very much like it's not in the best way right now, because I was not told we were going to actually be doing this. And there are things that we need to think about behind the scenes in our collections and our library card types. There's a lot that the board is not understanding that is behind the scenes inside this policy. And like, I'm not prepared at all to discuss this or to implement what you're asked at this point.
okay, yeah, I thought, well, you and I had talked about it, that, we would just discuss the ideas,
Discussion.
but I, not the whole board, so. What's next?
Oh, just a quick one, just I'm saying, I recommend we just proceed and we'll have the draft and then that can be bounced off staff as well. We'll take input. At least I will be receptive to input. But I think that we shouldn't sit here waiting for staff to develop something, especially when you're shorthanded. We can do this now and then we can say, okay, here's a draft and then we can kick it around again.
Trustee Fox?
And it's absolutely clear, we cannot leave that striked out sentence there where
It looks good.
16 and 17-year-olds cannot have access
Right.
to open collection and they cannot have access to CIN because CIN, we can't control what the books are. So the Idaho law makes us do that.
I like C.
Okay, so consensus to,
Trustee Campbell?
So on the very first paragraph, it says, parents and legal guardians may authorize their children under the age of 18 to have their own library card. So going back down to C, where we took off open access, wouldn't that be access to all minor collections 0 to 17, not 0 to 18, because it's under 18?
Yeah.
is that what? As long as it isn't interpreted as up to 17. How are we interpreting?
What did they? Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, so,
So I would agree to that preliminarily, to remove sense of a siren and replace it with the sense up there on the screen.
I like it.
okay,
Okay, so it sounds like we have consensus on that. So then we will go on to number 5.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, I didn't have any changes to 5. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we will go on to paragraph 6. Looks like we had the same idea. I just wanted to take the whole thing out. Trustee clause. Let's see. Go ahead.
I was just changing that to, minor children and just simplify it, are not permitted open access library cards.
Makes it more clear.
We don't have to say it, but
With minor children, if you look at minors are minors, children are minors. No, they are. So it's basically repetitive. So it's either minors or children, and minors is probably the more legal term. There's no,
Okay, I go.
there's no adult children.
Well, that's debatable. Business manager.
How are you gonna deal with emancipated minors in this policy?
Oh.
Because it does happen.
Can they buy liquor? Can they
Yeah,
buy cigarettes?
yeah, it's,
Yeah, there's
Can they
still,
go to X-rated movies and R-rated movies?
Idaho law didn't make
I
it,
don't know.
they didn't make it.
That's for legal, that's good, maybe
okay,
legal.
so
can
that
answer
they would be able to choose their own level of minor card, but they still would be able to have an adult card
I would
according
think
to
not.
age 7 to 10.
I don't think question.
Idaho law didn't make provisions for them.
All right, so do you guys want to change number 6 or just delete it on entirely?
And
I'd like to change it. Although my number 8 could go in place of that, of number 6. I said open access library cards are only issued to patrons 18 or older, proof of age. So that's redundant with that, I suppose.
Business manager? Oh, sorry, your hand was behind his head. I didn't even see.
Oh,
Trustee Robinson.
so I know you guys kind of skipped over this, but why, I have 2 things. Why is the for minors taken out of the library cards policy label? And then honestly, what do you guys think kids do? Come into a library and go through the adult books trying to find some sort of reference to a boob? I mean, I honestly don't know why you have such distrust in a parent choosing a card for their child or a minor child who actually has can read bigger books than themselves, why you think they're gonna go through the adult section of a library and look for what?
I have a.
What are they looking for?
Point of order.
Trustee will say this point of order.
It was my understanding we were going through this seriatim, if that's the correct word,
Mhm.
not to debate the policy.
Okay, well,
At this point, we can
trustee
still go
Glass
back
already
to it.
went out of order before.
I didn't catch
and
that, I'm
have to
sorry.
stop.
I didn't catch it.
The chair did, but let him do it anyway. So I'm going out of order. Why is it library cards policy now and not library cards for minors policy is a question. And my other question is a legitimate question. What are you guys so afraid of that a child, a kid, a 17-year-old can't even go through the adult section of a library?
They're not.
Or I'm sorry, all access section. It's not an adult section. It's an all access section. Literally, we had somebody in here talking that their child couldn't get a cookbook, and she evidently didn't want to come in and get it for her child. She switched the child back to an all access. So now she's out of luck too, evidently. Would you stop putting your finger up when I'm trying to talk?
Okay, so actually I should have called the point of order. I missed that the for minors was crossed out entirely. So we
Yeah, I
can
don't-
catch that when we go
Well,
back.
gee, thank you. Thank you.
Well, you pointed it
I
out.
know.
So, and you could have said something when we were talking at the very beginning.
That's too horrible.
Okay, so, trustee Glass,
Just an answer to that, it's the Idaho law. And some libraries are putting signs up in their doorway. You're not allowed to come in if you're under 18. We're not doing that. We're just saying they can only go to,
That's a way to mess with kids, I guess.
but we're not doing that. We're putting these cards in and they can't go to the adult because of the Idaho law.
right, so we've taken out number 6 or,
I could replace it with what I'm doing here.
okay, so while you're, well,
Always
I
been.
shouldn't go on yet.
Government issued photo ID for those.
Everyone needs a government issued photo ID. We don't clarify maybe to how they look.
Let's put it in the policy.
Trustee Campbell?
Maybe to make just number 6 simple, just say minors are not permitted open access library cards. That would, to me, would be clear.
I like that, short, simple.
Yeah.
Response?
I was proposing this part between the yellow instead of that, because later I wanted to say that, proof of age provided. And so you're making it. I'm just thinking here.
Okay, so we are agreeing, if we agree to go overtime for this, then we're basically agreeing to extend the meeting. Hopefully not very much.
Line with hers, I don't know what she's saying.
Okay, so you wanted to include something about the proof of age. So that's why you wanted to do that instead of just the simple version. I'm okay with it as it is up there on the screen, number 6.
But
You're
yeah,
still changing it.
Yeah, then you couldn't read it.
grammatically,
Yeah.
This is the part I would delete that was there. Okay.
so what are you deleting?
The yellow, that was the one option, just to put that
What are
in.
we keeping?
Okay.
And I'm suggesting, okay, let me take. Okay, one was was to do the simple statement. The other is the next part, open access library cards only issued for patrons under 18, age 18 and older.
May only be.
May only. So you, instead of saying they're not permitted, you're saying they're only given to 18 and older.
Okay, so you want to take out the yellow highlighted and just say open access library cards will
Yeah.
only be issued to patrons aged 18 or older. Proof of age shall be provided with government photo ID. Okay, I'm agreeing with
All
that.
good?
Okay, so it looks like we have consensus on that. All right, then on to number 7. I didn't have any changes said.
I think I will limit it. Is it a different term? Is it called a limited access card? What is it called? So.
Oh,
Is it right now?
limited access.
Is that the right term?
collection? I can go for that.
I think that's understandable. Election access level, one level.
Okay. Leave it as is.
Okay. And then, okay, so we're done with the document, move back and say that it's open for any other changes. So Trustee Robinson, you wanted to bring up, crossing out for minors and the.
I just don't know why you're renaming
Oh, I
it.
can rename it.
Merely for minors.
Okay.
And limiting their access.
The only reason I suggested crossing that was because we're also issuing cards for adults. So I thought it's more generic library card policy. I don't think I saw another one in the, meaning, I don't think there's another card policy with the CLN when I flip through my policies. So if this is the only one that exists, and if it includes adult cards, well, then it's not limited really to minors. So that's the only reason why I crossed it out when I was putting my edits on it.
Mr. Boss?
I would just leave it the way it is. I think if you're gonna try to cover card policies, then you're gonna have to, maybe you need another policy altogether that describes what has to be on the card, what kind of data, how long we keep them and all that. And
Maybe.
I think that's more involved. Maybe it hasn't been done yet, but let's not mess with it.
Okay,
So,
leaving it.
so
as is.
trustee Robinson suggesting we don't cross it out, keep it. I'm fine with that.
Okay, so it sounds like we have consensus on leaving the title, as it was for today. And any other changes?
No, I'm just gonna say that, no, I just gonna say is after it's done, we get a hard copy of it or soft copy, either way. They can read it again, because sometimes you change something here and there and it changes the context or something conflicts or is left open, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm good with what we did now. I'm finished, but I need to look at it again before I say, yes, it's finished document.
Okay, yeah, it,
We send it out.
Okay.
So we've got 8 and 9 still, the 8 and 9.
It's super, yeah, I didn't bring in a page.
Okay.
oh,
There is an 8 and 9 on this. Here's what it was, we had good.
are you gonna have any changes on 8? Sorry, I missed that too. Dr. Robinson?
I would suggest, since there were so many edits done, that it's almost complete, because I know that several of you thought we could actually just get it done and pass it right now in 20 minutes. I would say that whatever we just typed up, so that if there is an issue with it, we don't waste time in the wrong direction, that we submit it to the attorney to see what he thinks about it.
Trustee Boss?
So I will send the Word and PDF to the interim director this evening. She can send it out to all of us to review. And do we want to give 24 hours notice back to her when to send it to the attorney? I think we did that before. Let everybody take a look at it for 24 hours and then by email.
Or, yes, it is.
Trustee Healy?
Or could it be sent to the interim director and passed out as part of the, I don't call it our packet, but basically for our next meeting, and we have time to look at it ahead of time, we can say yes or no, or change it again. Maybe we put it on the agenda. As long as the agenda doesn't get too long for the next meeting, because I know the budget's the big one. I mean, that's just a typing issue. It shouldn't be a big time killer right there on staff. And then we can go look at it again in its clean fashion, the new draft, and then decide whether we like it or not. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, we could, yeah, interim director.
I am not promising that I can do that work and I'm not trying to be difficult, but I literally have to put all of my time and energy into creating these budget options. And I cannot guarantee that I can send this policy out for a review or to the attorney.
Could determine.
Okay, so since it's not an action item, would we need it to be an action item to send it to the attorney, or it would only need to be an action item if we were actually gonna pass it, which we're not going to? Mr. Robinson?
Yeah, I don't understand why we can't just send it to the attorney. I mean, I know that many trustees call him and email him on their own anyway about other things. Why can't the chair just send it to him? I don't understand.
Okay,
That would be a breach of, I mean, I think it's literally this contract that says that you're his main contact anyway.
okay, thank you for the suggestion. Great idea. All right, so we're done, trustee class.
I was just gonna say, can we send it out by email tonight to everyone, or can our treasurer send it out to everyone? Just send out what I got and look at it and get back to the chair if there's any changes, and then give 24 hours, then send it to the attorney.
Interim director, is that permissible?
I honestly didn't hear what you said.
Yes, the treasurer could send it out, because she's not a trustee.
I think you guys are taking the whole open meeting thing a little way too long.
And I have to say, like, it's disheartening that earlier you pledged to like not put in extra work, and here we are already doing that in the same exact meeting. And I cannot do that tonight. I have a staff meeting tomorrow and another staff meeting tomorrow, and the budget is all of next week. So I am telling you right now, I cannot, and I do not recommend that any of the trustees send out a trustee-wide email either. This is just where we are. We have one person in this job and we have one person who's almost out the door. I cannot do this work right now.
What they were suggesting is not more work for you, but that he would send it to me, and if it looks like it is the same as the changes that I made note of, that I would then send it to the attorney. So that doesn't require anything on your part.
Well, just send it to everyone somehow so they can review it too.
I move that we extend the meeting, or 10 minutes.
It has been moved to extend meeting for 10 minutes. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, the majority has it, and the meeting is extended to 5:13. All right,
Sure. Yes.
okay, so,
Oh, never mind. I had nothing yet.
okay, so
Okay.
shall we agree that clerk sends it to me and I will send it to the attorney if it looks right? Okay. Looks like we have majority consensus on that. All right, then moving on, response to public comment. Is there any to previous comment, not today's comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next section, which is discussion of future agenda requests. Trustee Henley?
Yeah, I have a subject here. The employment area joining the library has a statement in there that says, "We create an inclusive culture that honors diversity, equity, and inclusion." That's not in line with our personnel policy, which alludes and talks about equal opportunity. So I suggest we either direct staff to take that comment or that statement out of the website, or we add a new line item to the personnel manual in paragraph 1.2. We can specifically say CLN does not honor diversity, equity, and inclusion in any of its personnel management decisions. So I suggest we either direct staff to remove that comment from the employment area of the website. I think that's the only place I've seen it. Or we can specifically write that into our policy with a small amendment. That's my suggestion.
Okay, I am open to having that discussion at a future meeting. About the rest, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, it sounds like we have majority consensus to add that to a future agenda. Anything else? Trustee Hanley?
With the resignation of the Coeur d'Alene Library Director, Michael Priest, did we inquire as a CLN to ask if they would like to join the CLN and be one of our other libraries? Is that a discussion item for us? I don't know how that happened, but we're the only library in the county that is not under the CLN, and they don't have a director currently. So I don't know how we normally initiate reaching out our outreach program and say, hey, would you like to join us? So consider it.
Interim director, what is this?
The city of Coeur d'Alene is its own entity. It has its own support system. And it is not a standalone library like some of our other libraries within CLN. And it's highly unlikely that they would want to join this library district because they have plenty of support as they stand.
I'm not sure that I really pro that idea anyway.
Just throw it out there.
Okay, so I would be a no on discussing that. You want to discuss it or?
I'm not up to discuss that. I really don't think they would be into that. They're a proud library. So, not that we,
It's okay.
but they're
Doesn't hurt my feelings.
Okay, so it sounds like that is failing majority.
It's a nice thought.
Anything else? Okay, hearing none, we are moving on to number 17, set special and regular meeting dates.
We have next speaker.
Hearing, Trustee Lass.
I think we should pencil in another one next week, maybe, I'm going on the 29th, but the 30th.
Well, if that's next week, we have to give staff time to do.
It's actually not next week, it's the week after. Because I don't think you're gonna get it all done on the 24th. I think you're gonna need a follow-up. Tuesdays then.
If we don't need it, that's good that we do.
Dennis Manager?
what would be on that meeting? If it's budget, then you've, already, surpassed your time to publish.
Okay, so what's the last date that we can change things?
24th.
24th. Okay, and we're meeting on the 24th.
We have to send it to publication on the 25th.
Might be the meeting on Monday.
I'm gone that whole week, so already I'm zooming in, hopefully for the 24th. I'm flying pretty much the whole day on the 22nd.
Okay, so Lindsay, if we met on the 22nd and we made some changes, does that give you enough time to change things by the 24th?
She has to have everything ready by the 22nd now too, instead of the 24th.
I'm sorry, what is your question?
That if we had a special meeting on the 22nd and made some changes, would that give you enough time to reorganize the budget by the 24th?
Well, I don't see how I can do the changes that have been asked for and have it ready for you on Monday. Because like I said, tomorrow is already a very full day. So I would have to be working Saturday and Sunday at home to do the budget to have it ready for you on Monday. And I'm unable to do that. So Monday and Tuesday are the days that the changes will be made that were discussed today, and hopefully we can come to resolution on Wednesday.
Okay,
Okay.
so then maybe on the 24th,
Go to
we could extend the meeting
yes.
that day. Is that possible?
I mean, it is possible. I would advocate that we just only discuss budget
Yeah.
today.
I think take the orientation out.
Take the orientation and
Okay.
start it too.
All right, well, if the
There you go.
new trustee doesn't mind, that
No,
sounds like a good idea. Okay,
So it's 2 till 6 on the 24th.
yeah,
Oh, 2 to 6?
Yeah.
I had 2 to 5.
2 to 5. It's 2 to 6.
6.
The last meeting, we changed it. We put 2 hours for trustee orientation and 2 hours for the budget. And now it's gonna be 4 hours for the budget.
Okay.
What?
Okay, and then we added something that we were putting on there just for 5 minutes.
Yes, I'll look back at my notes.
Okay. Great, response?
So this is news to me. I thought we had until sometime in August, but to the 25th for publication. Anyway, I thought we still had time if we didn't get it done.
You have a budget hearing on the 8th of August, so I don't understand that.
We have-
Right.
we have to
Business
publish it.
manager.
We have to publish in the paper what we are going to present at the hearing. We have deadlines of when we have to get it to the paper so that it's in time for people to read it in the paper so that they come to the August hearing. That's the deadline. Now, you can approve a budget for less than what you advertise for, but you can't do the opposite, but we still have to advertise by the 25th. We have to get it to the paper by the 25th.
Okay, so after that, so we could just say, okay, we approve it at 1% and then work on it a little bit further if needed.
It wouldn't be approving the budget at 1%. It would be, we approve this draft for publication.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Because you don't approve the budget until either your August regular meeting, or if you don't do it there, the tentative one the week after that.
So it's not bound by what we publish?
As long as.
As long as it's less. You cannot go more.
So we should make it go high.
All right, okay, so then we have changed the 24th meeting, same time, but different,
Subject.
different makeup.
Different agenda.
All right, so if there is no further anything, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay, I have been moved that we adjourn. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it is unanimous. All right.